Iran has dismissed the latest Israeli efforts to form an anti-Iran alliance as desperate attempts. Abolfazl Shekarchi, who is a spokesman of the Iranian Armed Forces, made the remarks after Israel's Minister of Military Affairs Benny Gantz claimed that the regime is building a US-sponsored regional air defense alliance in cooperation with some regional Arab states to foil what he described as Iran's attacks. The commander of Iran's Islamic Revolution Guards Corps Navy has already warned neighboring countries against allowing Israelis into the Persian Gulf, saying such a move would bring nothing but chaos and instability to the region. Tehran says if a country allows the Tel Aviv regime to establish a foothold in the West Asia region, that country and the entire region will be inflicted with insecurity, chaos and instability. Israel has been making attempts to draw closer to US-aligned Arab countries in the Persian Gulf in recent years.
And Israel and Saudi Arabia are America's main conduits for Washington's influence and power in the region. So as long as American power remains formidable in the region, even though it has declined, as long as it remains formidable, the Middle East will continue to be the most volatile part of the world.
Benny Gantz has recently unveiled what he dubbed the Middle East Air Defense Alliance and said the regime's cooperation with Arab states is already underway. The plan is reminiscent to an earlier scheme by US allies in this region known as the Arab NATO. The plan, which was pushed by Saudi Arabia and the US administration of former President Donald Trump, failed to materialize, and the result was disastrous.
The dynamics of the Middle East have changed quite significantly in recent years, in that Israel, while remaining immensely powerful in political, economic and military terms, has lost much of the clout that it once wielded in the region. And it is my contention that that is on account of how the Israeli state's foremost patron, the United States of America, has lost influence and has lost power in West Asia.
Israel's threat and warmongering rhetoric against Iran come amid unprecedented political instability in the regime itself. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has submitted a bill to dissolve parliament as his fragile coalition cabinet collapses, triggering the path for a fifth round of elections in 3 years. Bennett will become the shortest-serving premier in the regime's history after serving 12 months and 1 week, and Lapid will act as the interim premier, Israel's 14th prime minister, until the next election, likely to be held on October 15th. The fragile 8-party coalition was formed in June 2021 after 4 successive inconclusive elections. The ideologically divided alliance included right-wingers like Bennett, Lapid's centrist Yesh Atid party, left-wingers, and for the first time in Israel's history, lawmakers from an Arab party. Israel's rising anti-Iran threats is seen as an attempt to divert public attention away from the regime's dismal political and security failures. Furthermore, the geopolitical reality of the region is changing fast. The US is in a much weaker position following its disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan and setbacks in Iraq.
And it is my submission that that is on account of how there is in existence in the Middle East what I call an unofficial alliance comprising Russia, Iran, Syria and Hezbollah, which means that the United States of America no longer has the maneuverability, the leverage that it once enjoyed for decades and decades in the region.
The resistance front is also in a much stronger position. Syria has overcome military pressures and is now fixing its ties with once hostile Arab nations. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has received the credentials of the Bahraini ambassador nearly 6 months after the Persian Gulf Kingdom appointed its first ambassador to Damascus, as the two countries moved to shore up diplomatic ties that were downgraded in the foreign-sponsored conflict in Syria. Iran, which is seen as the backbone of the resistance front, has already warned that it would give a crushing response to any hostile move.